Hello, welcome to part four. Part four, we're going to be talking about some gameplay mechanics, being spells and making spells. So that is coolio. Other thing that we have done is that now there is character customization, which has all the windows that you guys saw before, which we've already previewed, which are classes, modifiers, and then races. With races, there is now a larger expanse of races, being all the way up down to. Oh, sorry. Let's see here. Asimar, all the way down to what is that last one there? Uh, ugh, like Hobgoblin. There's one under there, but it's okay. So adding about other 15 races. There's now about 32 to 30 races now that are all free to play, obviously. So that's good. Yeah, but all of them are part of the official D&D 5e. So of course, all of them are free here to play when the new campaign. And I think this is all going to be all the races. Well, that sentence made sense. I think that's going to be all the races that are going to be in the game currently. They're under review, but we can look at some just before we look at spells and stuff. Semi-hybrid's pretty cool. Semi-hybrid, it's experimented human and elf. They're kind of like combined and then also added with this sea animal like DNA. So they're pretty cool. Every couple of levels, you get to pick out of these 7 options. You at the end at level 100, you should have 5 different ones, but you're able to get like a crab shell or spit acid or have these giant tentacles or crab arms or you have 4 crab legs and you can have a climb speed. It's interesting, but it's pretty cool. You also get to pick passives and weaknesses from the elf or human, so a little bit more customization from there. That's always quite fun. Let's see what else. The GIF are hippo people. They're really good at shooting. They love bows and all that amazing stuff. So they're really good at shooting things, using bows, using long ranged items. But yeah, they're pretty cool. We'll look at one more probably. Let's see let's the Lex the Dawn, whatever. It's a elephant person. So they have like elephant. Their skin is tough. They have a bigger body, and then they have a trunk that they can fully use as a separate hand. So you basically have 3 hands with the this creature here. So that's fun. Um, they are more of a peaceful race, but you can use it for more things as well. They are count as large and beast. Again, they speak Beast Val, which is a language that is spoken between humanoid animal-like beings. So it's fun. They have a pretty cool different abilities down there, like every other race, of course. But yeah, that's some of the new races there. Again, they're all pretty much. We got Shatterkai, which is fun. Lizard folk. Kenku is new. Changeling is obviously new as well. But yeah, exciting. I'll look at one more. Probably, honestly, probably the Shatterkai. Dark elves, as they're called, they follow the protection of the Raven Queen. And the Raven Queen loves her subjects, and they don't want them talking to other gods. So pretty fun. They have a unique passive ability called Dark Protection. It protects you from seals from the ill rigor and cursed mana, and then curses in general. So that's fun. They have pretty cool protection of the Raven Queen, blessing of the Raven Queen, and then saving of the Raven Queen is all their abilities there. So fun, fun, fun. But that's all we'll look at for that. Now spells. Um, there we go. But spells are a beautiful thing. They are. You have mana inside your body, and you're able to turn that mana into physical, mental, or whatever kind of spells that you like. So, in D&D Classic, or campaigns 1 through 2, you were able to make your own spells, which that's no surprise. It's coming back. It's coming back with a couple more rules. Most of the rules are good for balance. One thing is that you're able to cast almost every class or every magic user is able to pretty much cast 3 spells in one turn if they really, really wanted to. I'll get down to that. And not just that, but if in one round they can cast 4 spells. So you might think, oh, Antonio, that sounds not very balanced. Trust me, just let me cook, as the kids say these days. Sorry, I got a little notification, but um, there's sizes of spells, like last time, but there is different sizes. So we have cantrips now, small, medium, large, huge, massive, enormous, colossal, and monumental. There you go. I can say it. This teaches you how to make spells. This little list here, you can go down and read everything, and everything is here basically for you to understand how to make a spell and how to form one that makes sense to your character. One thing to know about spells, the first step is obviously you picking magic types. Each class, no matter what class you play, you get 2 magic types. If you're playing a different class like wizard or whatever, you might have multiple magic types. I think wizard might get 3 magic types in the on top. Maybe not. I think they get 1 or 2 more magic types. So a wizard might have 4 magic types in the beginning of the game, and if you're playing a barbarian, you only have 2. That just makes sense. Um, While you are picking your magic types, you pick a spell size. So cantrips are different. We can click this and we can look at cantrips. So every spell size has one of these things. So cantrips cost no mana. They have a limited range, and then they have damage / healing. Obviously, there's we have set rules from what passives they can, or not passives, but it doesn't have to be damage or healing. But this is like the default stats of what a cantrip could be if it is said thing. So cantrips are super small. They take no mana. So cantrips are free. You don't need to spend a spell slot for a cantrip. So every 3 spell slots you have, you get a free cantrip. Pretty cool. So playing wizard. Wizard now has 9 spell slots. 9 spell slots in the start of the game. Yes, I'm pretty sure. I might be wrong about that. Like I had to go check. I've changed a lot of stuff, so sorry about some misinformation. So because let's just say the wizard has 9 spell slots for now. Not saying they do, but let's just say that means they would have 3 free cantrips, which is pretty cool. Obviously, those cantrips have to stay with the rules of magic types. But also, if you really want to, you can use a spell slot to create a cantrip as well. I wouldn't recommend that, but it's a thing you can do if you would like to. So while making a spell or cantrips, there's rules that everything must be followed in order to make said spell. We're going to go to a higher level spell, so the rules make a little bit more sense here. So we're going to go to, let's just say, a medium spell. Medium spell, here's all the stats that we would need in order to form a medium spell here. And we'll get to this little number. This is spell casting difficulty, but we'll get to that. But in order to make a spell, there's rules. So obviously, in order to cast a spell, you need a mana to cast that. So if a spell costs 25 mana, guess what? In order for that spell to work, it takes 25 mana. I know that's might be crazy, but yeah. Now, if your spell does damage of any kind, your spell is automatically an attack. So in my D&D or D&D Classic, you have an attack, an action, and a bonus action. If you're confused, last campaigns 1 and 2 didn't have a bonus action really. There's things to do with your bonus action, but not like abilities or spells. So if your spell does damage, automatically it counts as an attack. If your spell range is lower than 5 feet, it's automatically a touch. If you have tick damage during your spell, it takes away from the overall damage, and there's all the wordings there. Healing spells, and if your spell does any kind of healing, it automatically takes an action. Here, I'll guide it a little bit. An action. Also, obviously, you can every spell size you can pick if it's healing, damage. Obviously, if it's neither of those two, then this rule doesn't apply. If your spell is very, very much weak, it will count as a bonus action. Or if you want your spell to be a bonus action, then your spell will be weaker. Um, if you make it an action, it's more powerful. Now, what do you mean by that? Do I get more stats? Do I roll more? Not technically. So as a DM, if your spell seems a little bit stronger than it should be, it'll probably be an action. That might be little things. Let's just say, hey, Antonio, I made a spell and it shoots lightning, but it does this much damage, but it also makes the people lose intelligence by like -5 or whatever. Then I would be like, hey, that sounds pretty strong and it's cool. It's going to be an action though. But obviously, because it does damage, it would automatically count as an attack. So those rules are there. Area effect spells also have a rule now. Basically, when you roll for a range, you cut that in half, and that is your area of effect that the spell can be from you. So let's just say you make a. Let's just say for my range, I rolled something high, like 35, right? I rolled 35 feet. Let's just say 30 because I'm dumb. Let's just say 30 feet. That means if I made an area effect, let's just say a shield bubble that goes around me, I would have to cut that in half, and now my spell range is 15. So I make a 15 range instead of a 30-foot bubble. So yeah, and then reactions here, and that's that rule that I was just talking about. And then reactions, if you make a spell with a reaction, it has to have a trigger. The trigger must be something that would happen. So let's just say someone shoots a arrow at me. My reaction would be, or sorry, my trigger would be if someone shoots an arrow at me, then I would be able to cast said spell on that target, or a target that they are shooting at. So pretty cool. All the rules stand by. I have a little example here, and I'll probably make it better, the example. Oh, I didn't mean to click cantrips. But spell size. Step 3 is like, what is the spell? So it goes explaining it and how I would make a spell. Here. Casting trait. So this was in campaign 2. Campaign 2 had a thing where you had to roll something in order for a spell to work. So in my D&D, it's not based on a person trying to beat something of yours, you can say. So in regular D&D, if you cast Fireball, they would have to make a dex save. Well, in this one, you yourself are the person casting the spell, and it's your strength. So let's just say for my healing spell I have up here. Well, I guess this wouldn't. Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. So I think I also have it right here as well. But for my healing spell, my trait. So the traits in D&D or my D&D are going to be strength, dexterity, constitution, dexterity, charisma, intelligence, wisdom, and luckiness. So I would pick one of those traits that makes sense in my spell. My spell right here that I have highlighted is a healing spell. So what trait would make sense for that? In my opinion, wisdom would make more sense for that, just because it has medicine under it, and I think it makes sense. Maybe you could choose something else, pull and tug at strings to make it work, and as the DM, I will allow it. It just has to make sense to me and not everyone else, me and you, I guess. So let's just say this is a wisdom, right? Now every spell now has not every spell, but most spells now have a SCD, which stands for spell casting difficulty. So for me to cast a spell, so for a large, I would have to roll. Let's just say I have my wisdom spell, the healing spell, and now the spell, the SCD, is the casting. So for me, in order to cast a spell, I would need to roll that first to see if I'm even able to cast a spell. So if I'm not able to cast a spell in that manner, it takes half the mana away from how much the spell. So let's just say the spell costed, let's just say 20. Then I would take away 10, and I failed to cast the spell. So, Antonio, why did you add said mechanic to the system? I wanted a way for people to not, because in this D&D there's no AC, and now you're able to cast 3 spells on one turn, technically 4 spells on one round. So there needed to be a buffer between being able to cast hella spells and how much succeed and how much obviously land and hit. on a single target. Because obviously, if someone's casting multiple spells on a round, then it's going to be really hard to balance that out. Of course, everyone has this ability. So, I mean, NPCs, other players, bad guys. So, it's not completely unbalanced, but it might be down to, hey, I rolled better initiative. Now you're cooked. Sometimes it is like that, but this balances out some things that could occur. Now, some people's trait might be higher than the SCD. So, for example, for a small spell, it only take 10. Some people will have a higher than a 10. You just automatically exceed that spell. Those spells are too easy for you. So it's fun in that aspect where you can cast spells that you are smaller because you're just good. I think it's fun. So it's an interesting mechanic. We'll see how it rolls. I'll probably most likely keep it, just tweak it there and there. So going from that, spellcasting trait. Spell 5 is the spell stats. You roll for most of your stuff. And then this explains if it doesn't have any damage or healing. You just try to stay within the rules and everything will be fine. Step 7, ask, hey, what should your spell do? Should it be an attack? Should it be an action? Should it be a bonus action? Should it be a reaction? So what do I mean by you can cast 4 spells in one round? Well, again, you can use a spell to attack. You can use a spell as an action. Again, this is not something that you can choose every round. This is something that stays within your block. So if you have a spell that's already by attack, you can't change it to action. Sorry if I made that confusing. But when you're making a spell, these are the 4 options that you can pick. But as you're, a round is going by, you can use it. If you have an attack spell, you can use it. If you have an action spell, you can use it. If you have a bonus action spell, you can use it. If you have, and then when it's not your turn and you can, a reaction happens that activates your trigger, then you can use that. So basically 4 spells in one round. Step 8, it's just saying, hey, name your spell. You can go in these orders no matter what. You don't need to go order, but this is how I have it listed because that's what makes more sense to me. Obviously, you send it to the GM, confirm if the spell is okay and doesn't need any changes. And then it says, remember, when you're making a spell, that nothing is off the table, and rules can be changed around for you if it makes sense to your character and the spell. But remember, look at the spell rules to know it's okay. So the whole this mechanic is to be balanced, but also give you the freedom to make whatever you would imagine, whatever you would like. And I want it to stay that way. A problem that I had with this mechanic before was people trying to make something, but me saying, hey, that's too strong, hey, that's this. I feel like this system is pretty much the same, so there's going to be that problem still, but has limits to a lot of stuff that would be happening before. So I'm hoping that this is good. And just to show you what the spell size is, you can see that it is pretty hefty. It's really hard to cast, but it's a large spell for a reason. It's by default it has 60 range. By default it takes 35 mana, and by default it does 30 damage or healing. So that's fun. Those set numbers there plus whatever you roll. I'm excited to see people make spells this big. But yeah, this video might have been shorter. I don't know if I showed you guys the list of classes now we have, but I think I did. I'm gonna be honest, in the last video I don't remember completely, but I won't show you any of this stuff this time. Now next video should be about, sorry, this is a boring page to look at. There's not really any good looking pages yet, but they'll get there. Next video should be about more game mechanics, and then we'll check out some other classes as well. But we're going to look at a new mechanic that is from the new edition of 2024 that I'm putting into this, which is settlements. Being able to make a town and make a little village or a base for your party, and what you can do with that. So I'm excited to show you guys that mechanic and what I have planned for the future. But that's pretty much it. You guys have a good rest of your day whenever you watch this. I'm making this at night, but I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.